when about 20% of the population attended, and it was said that it's a huge failure. But there were some who, because we went against the wind, and against the wind we achieved 20% in a topic which is not very popular, and to actually move so many people, to bring so many people to think about a topic, and to bring up all the different Christian parties, the Catholics and the Protestants, and to have protests which are supported by all parties, and the protest which is not which has not started from the church but from the lay people, and the church just contributed to, the church just participated in it. It's never happened before in Slovakia. So if you look at it, yeah, it's been only 20%, and it's been only 20%, but in fact there's been so many new things which never happened before, and how this thing happened is more important than the result itself. I am convinced that many things are different today because of that referendum and because of that cooperation between everyone.
Thank you, Father, for this explanation. And that answers to some other questions too, where they ask how could we represent the church and the teaching of the church in a good way, as a truth, as a common good. How could we present this, that this doesn't provoke further divisions? There's still another question. A lot of times when we try to represent this truth, they tell us that we are intolerant, and we are confronted with intolerance here too, because people will put us aside if we dare to represent Christian values. And
I'm very fond of how Jesus stepped up just before his conviction, when one of the guards punched him in the face, and he explicitly asked the guard, "Why did you punch me? If I did something bad, then tell me what was it and show it. But if I haven't done anything bad, then why do you punch me in the face?" So I think it's extremely important to see, by just simply being patient and not being aggressive, it doesn't mean that we cannot be direct, and that we cannot and that we have to withdraw. So just because someone is taking advantage of me and saying that I am intolerant, then I can explicitly ask, why do you say that? Why do you think that? I am fully allowed to raise my opinion, which is not the same as the current popular opinion, because I have the right as well to say my opinion. And if we want to move ahead, I did listen to your opinion, so I do rightly demand that you listen to my opinion as well. And then two opinions can come to and what I also see, that there are certain personalities with whom it's impossible to argue, because they just simply, they're so extreme in their beliefs that you have no chance to change their mindset. Ratzinger, Bishop Ratzinger, the later Pope, he said, he said, we actually don't have to fight against liberalism, because liberalism has no future. Liberalism is self-destructing. If there are no children, then you're going to die out. So we don't have to fight against liberalism. We have to show an alternative. And if we can show an alternative, if we can maintain our very own culture, even in small groups, then we are capable of showing our real strengths. And this is how we can fight against it and actually so it's unnecessary to confront it. We just have to make our own thing right. So this is this kind of dialogue. One needs to wake up. Is there any value in stepping up here, or should I just leave it? If I do, then search the dialogue with patience and no aggression. And sometimes it's just simply it's not worth to fight, and it's there's more value in putting effort into maintaining our very own values and just simply carry on our road, which will eventually lead to a change.
Köszönjük, ez azt jelenti, hogy elég
Thank you,
sok
Father. That means we need a lot of patience and endurance. There's another interesting question. I think 2 times we got that question. In the end of the teaching, Father quoted Saint John Paul on the refugees who, because we didn't go there to evangelize them, they are coming in our countries now that we could be able to evangelize them. This is a new direction in evangelization, and there's 2 extremes in this too. How could we apply this to the situation of today? The love of Christ towards immigrants.
Well, this is again a complex question. So I need to reach back to our faith, and we really need a very well-funded conviction that the truth of Jesus can change the heart of others as well. So if I start my position from this, then I can step up confidently, and not because I have the power or I have the strength, but because I carry Christ, so I can fully confidently believe that if the other person hears the truth, they will like it, and if they like it, they will take it for their own. So here's another topic. For example, if you take the equality of women, so like feminists fight for that, and sometimes they even use that as argument for abortion, and we fight against that. But at the same time, in the Arabic world, the rights of the female are not protected. But in countries which are a bit more liberal, for example, Morocco. So in Morocco, if a Muslim woman, if a Muslim woman first time encounters the Western mindset, the Western culture, she might opens up and looks at, wow, this culture looks at females differently. This culture respects the female, and they will start, and that person might start to long for that sort of respect which she would get in our Western society. So by doing this, we could show what we can actually offer. So what we can offer is basically good for you. So to go back a bit in history, when the Spaniards occupied Mexico, there was a miracle in Guadeloupe. In a couple of years' time, several million persons were baptized. There were thousands, tens of thousands of people who baptized daily. Why? Because the Aztecs, who were worshipping the snake god, and they were they were bringing offers for it. For them, Christianity brought a liberation. So here's a question: what do we offer for them? What can we offer to them? Or what can they see from that what we could offer? If they only see abortion, if they only see the destruction of family, they will see that, oh, this is a society which is doomed. But if they see our values, the way which we live them, that might brings them closer to the truth. So it's not the refugees who will bring the destruction of our Western civilization, but it's us who do not live according to our values. If we do, however, then this will appeal to the others. This will appeal to refugees, and they will come along to us. I think this conviction is important to maintain and to commence from that.
Igen, a Krisztus igazság hirdetése a legvégsőkig.
Bring the truth of Christ. By the end of the teaching, we heard that man is open to transcendence, and it's not good to absolutize life on this earth, and that the defense of human life, there are limits to it. The example for it is martyrdom. If I think of my own life, I can take decisions, but other people, I can't offer them martyrdom.
Absolutely, certainly, I can't put another person to the risk of martyrdom. That's a self-decision. That's a decision I have to make myself. What I wanted to say with this example, that very often fear comes up in us, that we are too afraid to step outside of our comfort zone, and we are not afraid to take risks. Although it's not even our life which we would need to risk, it might be just our comfort which we need to risk. And we are not willing to make the sacrifice in order to be close to another person, to help another person. So what I really wanted to make with this comment is that looking at martyrdom, or like compare it with the pandemic. In the 20s, in my very parish, there used to be sisters of the cross who worked in a lung hospital, and there are a lot of these sisters with the age of 20, 25, 30 buried here in my very parish. So they carried on caring for the sick while taking the risk of themselves getting sick and eventually dying. And this is what really happened. Well, obviously you can't force it on anyone, but for me personally, this is something that really motivates me as well. The level of brotherhood and the level of love towards your neighbor. So with the risk of I could get that sickness as well, and I could die myself.
Yes, that is in this pandemic time really a reality for all those who work in health systems and help other people, sick people. With the pandemic, there was that question. Today, in our times, how can we help people to see their own dignity? How can we help those who work in helping professions to respect the human dignity in their work? How can we help in practice? Many times we see that people get too tired, they get and can't pay attention to human dignity anymore. It's a question on formation, maybe.
Ez viszonylag azt mondom, hogy most egy nagyon nagy lehetőségünk van.
So this is a great opportunity in society, because what really got into crisis right now in the pandemic is not even the fact that we can't go into the church or that the church is closed. It's much more the crisis of the consumption. Because before, the question used to be, where do I take my vacation? To which wellness? To which wellness hotel do I go? So these people have lost now pretty much everything, because they used to have only consumption and now they have nothing. For us, there's still God. We used to have God and we still have God, but they can no longer go to the wellness. So for these people, this is the opportunity now, when they can think about, why do I even live? Why do I live? What's my purpose of life? What will I gain from everything I used to have? So they might ask the question themselves or might not. I'm very these people have obviously a life crisis right now, and this is the time when believers have a huge chance and opportunity to show to these people in their crisis that there is more. What helping professions, concerning helping professions, it's extremely important to pay attention to the other. That is something that we sometimes lack, that we turn to the others, we help the others, but towards ourselves we're not as good. Like, we push ourselves to, I need to have more, I need to have more, I need to do more to the other, but then don't even recognize that I myself in need of help, or I don't recognize the person next to me, the other sister, the other priest, the other person from my very own organization. And this is a challenge to pay attention to ourselves as well, that we need time as well, time off. So we are not the ones who need to who need to redeem, who need to save the world. Christ already saved the world, so I need time off. I'm perfectly I'm allowed to say that I'm tired. I'm sorry. I'm not in a position right now to love that other person, because it's getting too much, and I need also a time when I can just be myself, and someone just turns to me, when someone can tell to me that, yeah, that's normal, that's all right, you are not a sinner, you didn't make anything wrong, it's perfectly normal that you weary, that you're tired, and this way we can help each other, and we can and the whole point of this kind of groups or communities is that we can, and this is the remarkable in a living community, that we can actually always bring ourselves up, bring each other up, because it's impossible that everyone falls into depression at the same time. So whoever is on a better track can always help the one which is on a downside spiral right now, and this way we can bring back the internal happiness to each other. And of course, there's always the risk of mechanical that we like become like robots in our daily tasks. So miben van 100? So when at the start they were like there was deaths every single day with the pandemic when it started, deaths every day, and we were like astonished, like, oh, there's deaths here and there daily, 100. But eventually we got used to it. So nowadays it's no longer, we got used to it. We got into this daily routine.
That's really the way it is. We try to put into the center the dignity of humanity, but many times those who really are close to us and live around us, we don't really respect their dignity. Our time is running out. And the last question I'd like to it's important to see the world in connections and correlations. It would be good to follow formations that we could be able to put the good questions and enter into relations. Question is, are there any projects or things that we could join in order to form ourselves in that topic?
Kell körülnézni, hogy hol
This,
vannak
so everyone should look around in its own immediate neighborhood and your own area. Like, what are the projects which could help me to broaden my perspective? So there's the risk that even in the world of internet, we could fall into a bubble where we only see, when we only look at the websites, the news, which only follow others which who correspond with our views. So that's not only the liberal person, that's us as well. So we need to seek the sort of openness. And in this regard, it's I really like the Jewish culture. How did the Jewish culture survive through all these generations, despite they didn't have their own state? They needed two things. First, they always possessed their very own culture, and at the same time, they always possessed the culture of the nation they lived at. So basically, they opened towards the other, which did not mean, however, that they became less in their own culture. So as long as I have a strong belief, then I can perfectly enter into a dialogue with other perspectives, because they will not deviate my strong beliefs. On the contrary, I will find value in the other one as well. Like the Second Vatican states that the roots of truth are everywhere. So we should know our very own truth and look around where can we enter into a communication with the surrounding world.
Thank you very much, Father.
Még az utolsó kérdés, mert utána már...
One last question. We heard at the beginning of the teaching that if somebody thinks differently, it doesn't mean that he has a bad intention. Good intention is not enough, but it's important to know what is the good. How could we represent that in the church? Generally, if we want to help a concrete person, it might happen that we enter into a welfare attitude, or we just pass by the person that would need help, and we don't help because we say, well, it's an adult person, he should take care of himself. There's a lot of situations like that when we go either in one extreme or in the other extreme and take bad decisions. Could you please help us a little bit in this question?
A little bit, maybe. So how do I know myself that I made a bad decision? So I made a decision, and that decision had a consequence. So am I sure that my decision was bad? Or can it not be that God can turn around the consequence? Or so my decision, whether it's good or bad, it's not the measure of my decision making is not necessarily the consequence. So it's more like my my decision-making process. If I made the decision based on my best conscience, I looked at every angle and every perspective with my limited knowledge, even if my decision had not the best consequence. I am not responsible for the consequence because I made in that situation the right decision. This is one side. The other side is that we need to always think that the devil wants to destroy us. And it could happen, in fact, that I made a decision and instantly after I have a bad consequence that I made a bad decision. But I am convinced that had I taken a decision, another decision, that bad consequence would be there just as like. So this is exactly what the devil wants, because either way, the devil established that I am questioning myself, and then as a result, I rather step back, I would rather withdraw, and instead of making a decision, I just simply not make any decision. And then the devil already won because I am no longer acting in my full responsibility. I withdraw myself. So it's important to ask the question: is this conscience, this bad conscience coming from God or from somewhere else? The third point is God always looks at our intention. So when I say good intention is not enough, what I meant here really is that we are not supposed to make decisions without actually looking behind the scenes a bit. We need to use our brain. We need to think. So when I think, I can always wake up. I can always wake up. And then so I'm not responsible for the things I have no knowledge of. Now, if I had to make a decision, despite me having all the contributing factors, I still made a good decision based on what I knew. And God can always make the result desirable. So I did not only had good intention, I also did everything that was possible for me at that time. I asked their questions. I used all the possibilities to make the best possible decision. So it's not that. So when I say good intention is not enough, it doesn't mean that I always have to know everything. I always have to know what is the right decision. And many times we don't know what is the right decision.
Thank you very much. Really, that is one of the important points of our human dignity, is to accept responsibilities. And the other, that we are in the image of God, but we are not God, and we are not going to be able to decide in everything perfectly. We just can do as good as we can. And the responsibility, our responsibility in this is that we really try to search for the good fountains, for the good sources of our decisions. I think today this really we had a wonderful experience about this, inviting Father to speak to us. A lot of precious information was shared with us, and with a wonderful Christian attitude to it. And this was going to be very important that we can take this into account in our everyday life. Thank you very much, Father Joseph Butkerty, for everything you have enriched us with today. Thank you to all the brothers and sisters that were present this morning. And this afternoon, we meet again at 3 p.m. With another teaching. And as the Pope used to say after the Angelus, we wish you a nice meal.
Igen, aki kilép a YouTube, kilép a Zoom-jából, az 4 órában kezd
Those who leave the Zoom platform now, we ask that he come back at 15 minutes before the program so that we can let you in again. The best is not to leave the platform. Just take off the camera and the microphone. That would be enough. Thank you very much.